All right, second stimulus check. For the first time in reporting on this over the last 7 days, it really now appears that a second stimulus check could be coming in the fourth financial package from members of Congress. For the first time in the last few days, we have heard new indications from both members of Congress and the White House administration that they really do want a second stimulus check to be phased into what is called package number 4. Members of Congress are going to reconvene next week. But last Friday, the White House administration said that they reiterate their desires, as that were first expressed on April 8th, that they want to consider a second stimulus check. What the White House is thinking about is the following. Back on April 8th, they indicated that a first stimulus check was really not enough. They understood that at the time. As we have been reporting since day one of this YouTube channel, which we proudly debuted about a week ago, when the first stimulus check was passed as part of the CARES Act originally called for two stimulus checks, one for the month of March and one for the month of April, but it ultimately went with one. By April 8th, when all the great details about the CARE Act were solidified, the Trump administration fully admitted that they were then, at that point, considering a second stimulus check. They, at that point, knew what was the issue. By late April, a lot of focus was on corporations and small businesses, mom and pop businesses, because they understand a lot of people are independent contractors, self-employed individuals. And they understood that the PPP system is not perhaps working enough, that among individuals that are employees or unemployed, that when you consider unemployment insurance, PUA, EIDL grants, it was still potentially not enough, and that the second stimulus check needs to basically piggyback or cover those people that are not protected by those individual plans. And so just last Friday, the Trump administration said that they are seriously considering a second stimulus check, and that would be part of the fourth package that would go to Congress. What are the four packages? Well, basically, you had the first stimulus package, the CARES Act, then it was amended for the PPP loan 2, and now the fourth would basically be a reinvigoration of the economy as people come back to work. There is a concern, and this is the concern. There's a concern that come late May, the impact of the stay-at-home orders may be more severe on families than even it was in April. And I'll tell you why. There's two things that are triggering. First of all, the moratorium on evictions and the moratorium on rent payments was triggered in early March, mid-March, when the stay-at-home orders were issued by state governors. And as you know, that period to not pay rent, whether you're residential or commercial, is basically going up into May. In some cities, like in city of Santa Monica, they just last Friday, this 2 days ago, extended the moratorium on evictions into June. But the concern is the following, that for those counties, those states that don't have ordinance protecting people as to rent that they can't pay, if you have the stay-at-home orders lifted in May, what's going to happen with people in those rent obligations? And without the ability to meet their rent obligations and not a second stimulus check, which could help, maybe not suffice, but let's help that concern, there's a big worry that you could have a big problem with people's primary residencies. That is why the timing of the second stimulus check, when counties and states come off of or ease stay-at-home orders, is so critical. Another indicator, on Friday, one of the biggest commercial owners of real estate in the country appeared on CNBC. And when he was asked about what's the situation with his tenants, and remember, these are corporations. These are much better funded. These are well-funded institutions, organizations, not individuals at home trying to make ends meet. He said that the financial strain on them was one thing in April, but he thinks it's going to be much more severe in May. And that's consistent with a lot of what economists are saying, that the concern for the ability to make obligations financially in may be far worse than it was in April. And because of that, that is why the Trump administration is correctly using the word seriously when they indicate the level to which they are considering now a second stimulus check as of 2 days ago. Members of Congress are also on the same page. Now, both parties are battling over whether the stimulus check should be contingent upon certain things, and contingent upon that. That is also brewing on the horizon. How much would the stimulus check be? Here comes my personal opinion. There is, as you heard from me before, there has been this incredibly high stimulus package that is proposed of $12,000. I don't think that's happening. $2,000 check over 6 months, guaranteed or longer. I just don't think that's happening. Congress doesn't pass things of great magnitude that far into the future. They really deal with the immediate urgency. Now, could they approve $2,000 for the month of May? Sure. Could they approve $2,000? Could they approve an amount for April, which they really should have, and an amount for June and an amount for May? Sure. But are they going to start granting stimulus checks now into June and July? Don't think it's going to happen. It's just too fluid a situation. Now, what's sad to say is that in this video being made on May 2nd about second stimulus check, I really do think that based upon the current consensus of medical surveys, that we're going to be talking about stimulus checks in the fall of this year. There's current indication that coronavirus is going to come back in a big way later this year, and that the pandemic could extend for 2 years because there's no current vaccine and no indication that there could be a vaccine until at least next year. This medicine that we're talking about now is medicine to not operate as a vaccine, but to prevent you from dying when you have contracted COVID-19. And in that regards, several big analysts are now saying that, hey, we are not going back to the original situation, even as of this fall, because they think COVID-19 is going to make another circle around, and the pandemic will continue at least into next year. Now, some surveys say the pandemic could be a 2-year pandemic. With that in mind, don't be surprised if stay-at-home orders are reissued in the fall if we go through this scenario again, and don't be surprised if another stimulus check will be issued. The point is the following. That the situation is very fluid. If you've been watching this channel, I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your follows. Boy, it's been a big week. We've only been at this for a week, and just an enormous amount of patronage, and appreciate your comments. You've seen us talk about, throwing out a second stimulus check as a bunch of garbage. That's never going to happen. We don't see it happening. Well, the situation is very fluid. If members of Congress start to get behind it and don't see other things are working, then yeah, if the financial numbers start coming out, that unemployment numbers are not dropping, that they're still growing, that unemployment claims are still growing, I think that's really the indicator. Where are the unemployment numbers at, unemployment claims at, come early May? Then you really have the impetus, the reasoning for them to really, really get their act together and get a second stimulus check out there. The big issue, though, is what's going to happen with this sort of flavoring of certain groups that want stay-at-home orders lifted. Okay, where you lift the stay-at-home orders, what happens to unemployment numbers at that point? Lots of these stimulus check numbers, even that one I talked to you a second ago about the $2,000 for 6 months, they're all gauged upon impact of COVID-19 on unemployment numbers. They use a benchmark of unemployment as a way to determine whether a second stimulus check should be issued. There's no indication now that unemployment numbers are dropping, and there's no indication as when they're going to start dropping. That's the key. So for now, as of May 2nd, there seems to be a lot more optimism that a second stimulus check could be passed. When could be passed? I really do think that in the next 7 days, you're going to see, if not here, elsewhere on other people's channels, a lot of people playing every little clipping from every little senator that has something to say about a second stimulus check and making it into a video and say, hey, I got a big update for you. It's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of chatter coming out about what every senator is going to say about everything about left and right. But the big issue is where are the unemployment numbers. You need to see what's going on with those unemployment numbers. If you see them still growing, expect a second stimulus check. It's as simple as that. I think the second stimulus check will also be phrased and delivered in a different way. I think it will pay for more children in an individual household. That was a big issue last time. I think it will pay for individuals who are 18 years or older but are still dependents on a parent's tax return. They were missed in the first stimulus check. Basically, if you're a college student but you appear in your parent's tax return, so you're 19 years of age, for example, you got nothing. Whereas if your neighbor who's also goes to college with you and he filed his own tax return because he has a reason to do so, he got $1,200. I think that loophole will be picked up. I think the loophole where if you're a senior and you appear as a dependent on your adult child, your adult family. For example, if you have a grandmother and she appears on your tax return as a dependent, she got nothing. I think that loophole is going to be picked up. She's going to get her $1,200 check. I think all these little loopholes that people know that things were missed will get picked up, which is good. Those people should have been paid before. Finally, you've dropped a lot of comments. Keep them coming. A lot of great comments. About, God, 500 comments every 24 hours. We're here to answer them. We get back to you in about 4 hours. So please drop the comments. Like this video. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. And what we have to add is basically a few of you had comments on where is your stimulus check? It went to the wrong place. Your address changed. Here's the answer. If your stimulus check in your mind was supposed to come by paper format and you don't have a physical address, that's a big problem. Some of you don't have physical addresses or change your physical address. You don't think the IRS knows where your physical address is. That's a big problem. You need to get that information to IRS by going on their website and updating your information. I would recommend going on there and giving them direct deposit information. If you think they've issued a check, that's a lot of problems you're going to be in trouble with, and locating where that check is and getting it canceled and getting a new check issued. If you provide your direct deposit information and you've not gotten your check, also another sign that something's going wrong. You may have indicated the wrong, you may have typed the number in the wrong way. In both cases, if you have not seen your first stimulus check by now, and I will say, give it by this coming Friday. If you have not seen your second stimulus check and you believe they have your correct address, you believe you provide your correct direct deposit information, and you've not had it, you need to start picking up the phone. Something's wrong. But if you think you did not provide a correct address, or you think you did not give direct deposit information, you need to call right now and start doing whatever you can do. I don't know where it is you need to look for, but it's a problem. All these payment plans, and there's going to be a lot of them, are dependent upon two big things: knowing where you are and knowing where your bank account is. So if you want to receive funds and you want to receive things in the mail, you got to keep that information up to date. I mean, someone in one of the EIDL grant stories said they had been approved for $9,000, but they closed the checking account, so they didn't get the payment. I mean, why did you close the checking account? Don't do these type of things. You need to keep the trail of where you are, because if money's on its way, they need to know how to get it to you. Please, it's going to be like this for a while. It's not going to be here like this for a day or two. If you change things, don't change it until you're ready to know how to update whoever you have to update, whether it's IRS or SBA or whoever, to update them about your information. Don't start changing it because they ain't going to find it. A lot of great stuff. So today, 4 videos. EIDL grant, PUA, this, and a surprise video coming up. Like us, comment, and stay with LA for more.